Hey, thought leaders. This is the personalbranding.com podcast, and I'm your host, Dillon Kivo. Join us to learn how to build a legacy, boost your reputation, and make a lasting impact. Let's dive in. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the personalbranding.com podcast. I'm your host, Dillon Kivo, and I'm excited to dive into today's topic, one that's essential for anyone serious about building a lasting online presence. Why a Google Knowledge Panel is the new business card for experts, consultants, and personal brands. No matter where you are, personal branding is a journey that takes thoughtful strategy and genuine connection. So let's get into the key moves and common missteps that can make or break how you show up when someone Googles your name. Sound good? Let's jump right in. All right, so picture this. You just crushed a keynote, right? You were the one on stage, the audience was locked in, people were coming up to you afterwards saying, that was incredible. You handed out a few business cards and maybe pointed out someone to your website, right? Then later that night, every single one of those people does the exact same thing. They pull out their phone and they open up Google and they type in your name. That moment, that Google moment, is the most important first impression you will ever make. Most important than your handshake, right? More important than your website, more important than your business card, because it happens when you're not in the room. You don't get to control the conversation. You don't get to, put on that nice smile or tell your story. Google tells the story for you. And here's the question. When someone Googles your name right now, what do they see? Do they see a clean, authoritative, undeniable presence that says this person is the real deal? Or do they see a scattered collection of random links, maybe a LinkedIn profile, maybe an old blog post, it's a couple years old even, maybe someone, even worse, maybe someone else with the same name as you taking up space for your search result? So let's talk about the thing that changes all of that, the Google Knowledge Panel. If you've ever Googled a celebrity, a major CEO, or a best-selling author, you've seen one, trust me. It's that big, beautiful box that shows up typically on the very top of Google and sometimes on the right-hand side as well, whether you're on desktop or even on mobile. It has your photo, a description of who you are. It even has notable works that you've done, key facts about you, bio, sometimes even, people always search for section that puts you right alongside the other well-known names in your space. Now, here's the thing that most people don't fully appreciate. Google doesn't just hand these Google Knowledge Panels out. A knowledge panel means that Google, the most sophisticated search engine on the planet, has recognized you as a distinct, notable entity, as a brand, right? Not just a person with a website, an entity. That's a very specific distinction in how Google organizes the world's information, and it puts you in the same category as major public figures, best-selling authors, industry leaders, etc. That recognition is so powerful. It's visible to everyone who searches for you. It is, without exaggeration, the most valuable piece of digital real estate that exists on the internet for a personal brand. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. Let's talk about Google real estate for a second, because most people don't think about this. When someone searches your name, there are roughly 10 organic searches on that first page of Google, right? Your knowledge panel doesn't just show up as one of those 10 results. It sits above and beside all of that information, right? On desktop, it takes up the entire, basically, right-hand column. We're talking about a third, nearly half of the visible screen on Google is a placard all about you, all your information. On mobile, it's even more dominant. It often appears right at the top that pushes everything else down. Your photo, your bio, your links, your credentials, all of it right there, front and center before anyone even scrolls. Think about what that means. You're not competing with 10 other links for attention anymore. You own the page. When someone searches your name, Google is essentially saying, here is that one person that we've recognized with this name who is an authority. This is who they are, right? This is what they've done. It's like walking into a room and having someone announce you before you even open your mouth. Now compare that to what most experts and consultants have when you Google them. Maybe a LinkedIn profile, Facebook page, and then a bunch of just noise, right? There's no visual authority. There's no instant credibility. There's just links. And the person searching has to do the work of clicking around, piecing together who you are, trying to figure out, if you're legit or not. And most of them won't bother. Just takes time, right? They'll either just move on to the next person who looks more established, and that person might not be better than you. They just look more credible online, right? At first glance. Here's what I want you to understand at a fundamental level. A Google Knowledge Panel is not just a nice visual, it's a trust signal. When Google gives you a Google Knowledge Panel, it's telling the world, we have verified that this person is a notable, recognized entity. That's really like Google's stamp of approval. And whether people consciously realize it or not, that changes everything about how they perceive you. And think about it like this. When you see a blue check mark on someone else's social media profile, something inside you shifts. It shifts in your brain. You instantly give them more credibility, more trust, more attention. A knowledge panel is like the blue check mark of Google, except it's even more powerful. You can't just pay for it. Google is where most people go when they're doing their research. Social media is where people scroll, right? Google is where people are actually searching with intent. They're actively looking for information, and your knowledge panel delivers it in a nice, wrapped up bow. It is the most authoritative format possible. I've seen this firsthand. When I got my knowledge panel, the conversations just shifted, right? They changed. Prospects who were kind of on the fence, they suddenly moved forward with deals. Speaking organizers who were evaluating me against other candidates, they chose me. Podcast hosts who had never even heard of me booked me because they Googled my name and instantly saw the credibility. Not because I pitched harder, not because I followed up more, because Google did the selling for me. And that's the thing people miss. Your knowledge panel works for you 24/7, right? 7 days a week. It's never taking a day off. It never has that day off. Every single person who Googles your name gets the same authoritative professional, right? This person is legitimate experience. You can't say that about a business card sitting on someone's, junk drawer or in their back pocket. You can't say that about a social media post that disappears in 24 hours, like a story, right? Now, here's where it gets really interesting. And honestly, this is the part that most people aren't even thinking about yet. We are living in a digital AI age, right? People aren't just Googling you anymore. Now they're asking ChatGPT about you. They're asking Perplexity about you. They're asking Google's overview about you. And where do you think these AI tools pull their information from? They pull it from structured, verified, authoritative data sources. And guess what sits at the top of this entire list? Your Google Knowledge Panel. And the entire ecosystem of verified information behind it. Things like your Wikidata entry, your structured markup, your schema data on your website, your press mentions in credible publications, your verified social media profiles. If you don't have a knowledge panel, if you don't have that verified digital footprint, AI tools either won't mention you at all, or worse, they'll piece together inaccurate information from whatever random sources they can find. I've seen people get completely misrepresented by AI because there was no authoritative source of truth about them online. Their bio was wrong, their credentials were mixed up with someone else's, the wrong person, right? Their industry was listed incorrectly. Imagine being a lawyer and it says you're a real estate agent or whatever, right? And they had no idea that this was even happening. But when you have a knowledge panel, you've essentially given AI a clean, verified structure file on who you are, your name, your credentials, your work, your associations, all of it is organized and confirmed. So when someone asks an AI tool, who is the top branding consultant in my industry? Or, tell me about this speaker, I'm considering hiring them for my event. That AI pulls from your verified presence. You show up accurately and you show up with authority. This is only going to become more important as time goes on. AI is not going anywhere. It's accelerating. More and more people are using AI as their primary research tool. The people who get their digital identity locked down now are going to have massive advantages over the next 5, 10 plus years, right? The people who wait are going to be playing catch up in a world where AI has already decided who the authorities are. And changing AI's mind is a lot harder than shaping it from the beginning. Let me put it this way. If you're an expert, a consultant, a coach, an author, a founder who is the face of your brand, then your name is your company, period. When someone considers hiring you, partnering with you, booking you, investing in you, the first thing they're going to do is Google you, not your company, not your product, you. And in that moment, you either look like a verified established authority or you look like everybody else. There's no middle ground, right? A knowledge panel is the difference between someone thinking, oh, this person is serious versus, I can't really tell what this person does or if they're credible, if they're good at what they do. It's the same reason you'd wear a great suit to a big meeting, not because the suit does the work for you, but because it removes doubt, right? It lets people focus on what you're saying instead of wondering if you're the right person to say it. Your knowledge panel is that suit, except it works at scale for every single person who ever looks you up forever. And unlike a suit, you only have to build it once. And here's what I love about this. A knowledge panel compounds over time. Once you have it, it feeds everything else you do. Your PR efforts, they hit harder because journalists Google you before they respond to a pitch. And when they see that panel, you go from that random person pitching me to, oh, this is someone notable. Let me actually read the email. They'll go to your social media. Your social media is going to carry more weight because people who discover you online, when they Google you, they get that instant confirmation that you're the real deal. Your sales conversations, they get a little bit shorter because the trust factor has increased. It's already been built before you ever even get on the phone with them. Your speaking inquiries go up because the event organizers are vetting you against, 5-10 other potential speakers, and your Google presence makes that decision very easy for them. I talk to people all the time who spend thousands of dollars a month on ads, right? They have a social media manager, they're always redesigning their website, and they've never even thought about what happens when someone Googles their name. That's like renovating your house but leaving the front door broken. It doesn't matter how beautiful it is on the inside if people can't get past that entrance. The knowledge panel is that front door. It's where people walk in. And right now, a lot of really talented experts have a front door that's either invisible or falling apart. Now, let me talk to you about the mistakes I see people making because there are some really, really big ones. The first one is thinking a knowledge panel will just happen on its own. I hear this a lot. Well, if I just keep, posting content, growing my following, Google will eventually give me one. That is not how it works. Google doesn't just hand these out, they're not participation trophies, right? There's a real process behind earning one, and it involves very specific elements that tell Google you are recognized, right? A notable person in your space. It doesn't just happen by accident, no matter how much content you post on social media. The second mistake is thinking it's only for celebrities or people with millions of followers. I cannot stress this enough. You do not have to be, famous to earn a Google Knowledge Panel. You need to be notable in your space and have the right digital infrastructure in place. I've helped consultants, coaches, niche experts, and authors who are well known in their industry, but not exactly household names to get knowledge panels. It's about being intentional and strategic, not just about being famous. The third mistake is ignoring it once you have it. Your knowledge panel is a living, breathing thing. The information in it can change, right? You can change it yourself. Things can become outdated, and if you're not monitoring it and actively managing it, you might not even realize when something gets incorrect. So claiming that knowledge panel and actively maintaining it is just as important as earning it in the first place. And the fourth, and maybe the biggest mistake, is trying to hack it or take shortcuts, right? I see people trying to game the system with fake Wikipedia profile pages, spammy backlinks, and all kinds of tricks they found on, Fiverr, some Reddit thread. Let me be really honest with you. Google is smarter than that. Those tactics, they don't work in many cases, right? They'll actually hurt you in the long run. They can set you back months or even years. This is about building a real, legitimate digital presence. There are no shortcuts that last. And anyone who tells you otherwise is selling you some snake oil, right? That is going to backfire. Here's the truth. Getting a Google Knowledge Panel the right way requires expertise. It requires understanding how Google identifies and verifies entities and how the right signals need to be built, and how to connect all the dots so that Google sees one clear, undeniable picture of who you are. It's not a weekend project. It's not something you set up, in an afternoon watching a YouTube tutorial. The people who try to do it themselves, they usually spend months going in circles, or they make mistakes early on that actually make it harder to earn one later. And the worst part is they don't even know that they're making these mistakes until it's too late. And that's why I do what I do. I've been through this process. I've built my own knowledge panel. I've helped other personal brands build theirs. And I can tell you that when it's done right, the before and after is night and day. You go from being invisible to being undeniable. You go from hoping people figure out who you are to having Google lay it all out for them in seconds. And the best part, once it's built the right way, you have it. It's yours. It's not like, running ads where the moment you stop paying, the leads dry up. It's not like social media where the algorithm changes and suddenly nobody sees your posts. A knowledge panel is a permanent fixture on Google. It's a long-term asset that keeps paying dividends over years. So let me bring this back to the big picture. We live in a world where your digital first impression is your real first impression. Before anyone even meets you, right? They meet the Google results version of you. Before anyone hires you, they search your name. Before anyone trusts you, they look for proof. A Google Knowledge Panel is the single most powerful piece of proof you can have. It tells the world that you're not just someone with a website and a social media page. You're a recognized, verified authority, and it doesn't just show up on Google. It feeds into AI tools, it strengthens your PR, it shortens your sales cycles, and it builds a foundation of credibility that compounds with everything else you do. If you're an expert, a consultant, a coach, a founder, an author, anyone who is building a brand around your name, this is not optional anymore. This is baseline. This is table stakes, right? This is the new business card, except this business card doesn't just get thrown away. It doesn't just get lost in a desk drawer, right? It doesn't expire. It shows up every single time someone types in your name into Google. And increasingly, every time someone asks an AI tool about you, it shows up. I would say the most important thing about a Google Knowledge Panel is literally owning your name on Google and AI. What I mean by this is if you have a name like most of you do, where tens or maybe possibly hundreds of other people have the exact same name as you do, the worst thing you could have for business is somebody tries Googling your name to find you and information about you, and they find somebody in a different state who is in a different profession. Most importantly, it's not you, right? So when it comes to lead generation and people kind of scoping you out, you want to make it easy for people to find you on Google. Make sure that you own and dominate your name. The worst thing you could do is just wait and say, okay, I'll get a Google Knowledge Panel, next month, next year, and somebody with your exact same name claims their Google Knowledge before you. You can't really reverse that. So I would say that's probably the most important part about a knowledge panel is literally owning your name in Google. Anyways, thanks for tuning in today. I hope these tips help you in your personal brand journey. I'm Dillon Kivo, and this has been the personalbranding.com podcast. And until next time, stay true to your brand and keep making your mark. God bless.
Thanks for tuning in. I'd love to hear from all of you. Follow and connect with me on all of your favorite social media platforms at Dillon Kivo, DILLONKI, V as in Victor, O. And until next time, keep building your brand and stay golden.